The European pharma and biotech industry continues to show increasing growth driven off aging population, increased healthcare expenditures, and advancements in drug development. However, the industry also faces challenges such as construction cost inflation, regulatory challenges, and the prospect of disruptions from trade tariffs. If you're looking to gain more insights on some of these big themes, then this conversation will help you connect the dots. Welcome to Navigating the Currents of Change. My name is Shaheen Chohan, and I am the Vice President of Global Analytics at Industrial Info Resources, a global provider of energy and industrial infrastructure market intelligence for more than 40 years. And to help me dissect some of these themes and trends, I am delighted to be joined by Joe Apostol, who leads our European research for pharma and biotech. Welcome, Joe.
Nice to meet you, Shaheen.
Now, I would like to start off, Joe, by just giving folks who've tuned in a little explanation about the scope of the sectors and some of the segments of the pharma and biotech industry that you and your researchers cover. And broadly speaking, what is the current size of the European pharma market today?
So we literally cover everything from A to Z, from cosmetics, laboratories, the final formulation ingredients, so-called active pharmaceutical ingredients, the warehouse, life science packaging. And we track over $100 billion worth of projects across Europe, covering more than 1,800 projects.
Now, Joe, Europe is clearly a mature market, both in terms of production capacity and obviously also local and regionalized demand for pharma end products. But exports do play a large role in the prosperity and revenue share of European producers. Now, we have just seen the Trump administration release and put in place their current level of import tariffs on the European Union. What do you think some of the impact of those tariffs may be on both production, but also future capital expenditure? And do you think the level of tariffs that we have in place today, do you think that we will stay, or could we see it actually get worse?
So yes, with the recent announcement, we are looking at 50% tariffs at the moment, but it's hard to say where is it going to go. It could be 150%, 250%. It's too early to say.
And so, Joe, are there any particular countries that are probably more exposed to these tariffs? And do you expect to see any potential fallout in some of the planned projects that you're seeing?
Absolutely. The two most exposed countries in Europe at the moment is Germany and Ireland. Ireland depends on the pharmaceutical export a lot. In 2024, the export was almost 100 billion euro. And we definitely see this effect happening. We have seen projects on hold, put on cancellation. But at the moment, it's very early to see what's going to happen. We could revisit this again in 6 months' time with another podcast.
I think that's very likely, Joe. Now, Joe, I do want to just also focus on, for European drug and pharma producers, do you think we may see some of their European capital spending commitments possibly shift to the US to try and avoid the tariffs and kind of keep the Trump administration happy? Do you think that could happen?
That could happen. And certainly we have seen announcement already in Switzerland where Roche and Novartis announced that they will be moving manufacturing facilities back to the US soil. But on the other hand, on the contrary, we've seen a lot of capital expenditure projects announced for Europe from Novo Nordisk in Rome. It's very vague situation at the moment. Hard to say what's going to happen. But we monitor the market constantly.
A pretty fluid outlook then.
Absolutely.
Right. Turning to some of those growth markets that you and your researchers are currently tracking and monitoring, are there any faster growing, sectors or segments across the industry which you are seeing either an uptick in new production capacity or indeed are attracting higher levels of capital investment?
I mean, absolutely. Due to our diligent research, what we do, we cover the whole sector, but there are sectors that are growing faster than others and trending in 2025. The CMO and CDMO market is experiencing a massive continuous growth, expecting over 8% growth in 2025. One would be obviously the GLP-1 products, and they're turning from to oral formulation production to reach more patients across the line. And we cover over 15 billion worth of projects across to Europe. Companies investing, Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly, Sanofi, and Cordant Pharma. We try to verify projects from the early planning stage involving architects, EPC, and engineering.
Could you just share a little bit about why the CMO and CDMO market is actually growing? What are the advantages for Big Pharma to adopting this as a production kind of path or option?
The CMO and CDMO market, as I mentioned earlier, is riding the wave. Companies are sourcing out manufacturing capabilities to achieve a larger market share and achieve larger production capabilities.
So I guess it's a lot about scaling up your production by outsourcing it, and that allows you to, I guess, probably for Big Pharma to focus more on the R&D, put more capital dollars towards that side of the supply chain, so to speak. So really, it's about cost savings, right? Or getting more margin on your end product. Some of the other growth sectors, that's one. What else are you starting to see that's certainly trending?
The other popping out at the moment is the oncology and ADC, the antibody-drug conjugate market in Europe. We have seen this trend so much. AstraZeneca, Daiichi Sankyo, Carbogen, Amsys, they're investing so much in capital expenditure because they want to reach patients with other treatment. We follow projects from Lonza in Visp, in the Ibex facility, or a new project in Stein called the Dolphin. We track them from the early stages I mentioned earlier through engineering, construction, up until the commissioning, the whole project. And if I can talk about the other trend is happening is the mRNA technology. In 2025, Europe is seeing a significant trend in mRNA development. They're riding the COVID-19 success, and they're shifting towards broader applications in areas like cancer immunotherapy, genetic diseases, and protein replacement. BioNTech is leading the way, certainly, to develop and testing these new therapies.
Now, with, I guess, more pressure on end patient drug costs, Big Pharma's obviously having to continuously seek out ways to make R&D more cost efficient, make their production more efficient, and obviously focus on increasing production margin. What are some of the big themes that you are seeing associated with that to really help support Big Pharma achieve those goals? What are you currently seeing at the moment?
We identify in our projects the need of technologies, the smart technologies, the manufacturing executing system, the distributed control system, quality management system and executions, and PLC. These systems are absolutely necessary to day-to-day operation, the factories to be as efficient as possible.
Joe, you mentioned AI as part of that process optimization, process improvement. How does AI now play a role in sort of drug discovery and development?
Basically, target identification. AI analyzes vast database from preclinical development, trials, to reach a broader audience, and to time reduction. Traditional drug development can take up to 10-15 years, cost $2-3 billion. This is now reduced with AI help 4 to 7 years and reduce the cost by 20-30%.
Now, Joe, I guess like any other industry, building more sustainability into drug production and also across the operational running of plants and facilities, that's a key consideration, sits very much at the front of most corporate agendas. What types of ESG-related spending are you seeing occurring across the different sectors and segments of the pharma and biotech industry?
We see the ESG report and sustainability in every company's financial report at the end of the year. And whether is this from 100% renewable energy from a through a power purchase agreement from a nearby solar farm or wind farm, or they are possibly perhaps installing their own equipment. We track all sorts of pharmaceutical ESG-related projects: photovoltaic, geothermal, biomass, and heat pump installation. For example, the Takeda project in Vienna, so-called AHEAD, a potential CO2 reduction approximately 80% of the manufacturing site.
So that brings us to the conclusion of our podcast. A very big thanks to you, Joe, for sharing your insights and perspectives today. Very much appreciated. I really enjoyed the discussion. And also a very big thanks to all of you who've tuned in. If any of you have any further questions about any of the topics or points raised today, then please do reach out to myself or to Joe via our contact details you can see here. Thanks again for joining us. I hope we have helped you all better navigate some of those currents of change that we are seeing.